Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. In the first story, we'll tell you the story in which the sister of our OP showed all her abusers that they were wrong. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. My sister proved everybody wrong. I don't know if this belongs here, but I'll give it a go. This is a story about my sister. Throughout her entire education, primary and high school, people kept telling her that she'd never amount to anything and she'll never make something out of herself. Teachers, students, even some of her friends. She was told by a teacher that she'd never finish high school, that she'd have a hard life. Because she was told all of this, she started to believe it. And as a result, she did what people expected her to do. She skipped class. She didn't try because she was worried about putting herself out there only to be shot down. Things changed, and she didn't want to be this person anymore. She now has more than 6 years' experience with a volunteer ambulance service where she's the second highest ranked worker. She graduated high school near the top of her class. Her Year 12 artwork was a final for an art exhibition. She's 3 years into her engineering degree where she's getting distinction and high distinction marks. She has 2 jobs, one an engineering job and the other a great job that lets her travel for free with an included weekend salary of over $500 on average. Her second job requires media coverage, so she's been in the paper quite regularly for a promotion. Everybody who once told her she was going nowhere in life now has her success printed on their papers. She recently ran into the teacher who said she wouldn't finish high school. This teacher was excited to see her. She came up to her and was asking about her life. My sister's response was, "Who are you?" And then she walked away. The friends that trashed her are no longer in her life. She hears about them through Facebook, and some have tried to contact her, but she doesn't respond. And our second story, my father's story. This is my dad's story of how his first real girlfriend broke his heart and a bit about my grandma. Now, my father has always been the loner and really didn't have many friends when he was younger. Disliked by his mom and pitied by his father and siblings, my father's only peace was the few friends he had. Later in life, his mom cut him out of the will, but kept him as executor just so he'd know what he lost. Anyway, at the end of high school, my father finally got his first girlfriend, Becky. After all the crap his family gave him and being bullied most of his life, she really gave him the confidence booster he needed. Becky was planning on going to college, though. My father planned to stay in our town and work with his hands. They were in love, right? My dad's best friend was this guy named Mark. Mark was also going to college. Becky and Mark went to different colleges, and my father kept regular letters with Becky, but only saw Mark on days when he was back in town. One day, Mark drives up to my dad's place and starts pounding on the door. My dad answers and sees Mark in a pair of swimming trunks with a big grin on his face. My dad, of course, lets him in, and then Mark blurts out, "You're gonna hate me, but before you hit me, let me finish the story." Turns out, Becky came over to Mark's college one night to party. Now, Becky didn't know Mark would be at this particular party, but she proceeds to tell him, after several drinks, that she and my father had broken up. They hadn't. My dad was still sending her letters and calling. This was long before Facebook. Mark was drunk and he and Becky had sex that night. Mark said he knew in the morning he'd made a mistake and planned to drive straight to my dad's place and apologize when he got to town. Well, this got complicated for Mark when he learned my father and Becky were still together. He hatched a simple but good plan. Mark called up Becky and asked her to go to the beach with him. They spent the entire time drinking and effing, and she agreed. They drove 3.5 hours to the beach and rented a hotel room. He told her he was going to go for a beer run and he'd be right back. He left her there, drove straight back home and to my father's place still wearing his beach shorts. This was before cell phones or internet. They laughed and went out for beers. Mark ended up being my dad's best man when my parents got married. No one heard from Becky again. As for my father's vindictive family, my grandmother died and left tens of thousands in debt. She took out a whole bunch of terrible loan shark caliber loans to help the son she liked, including a second and third mortgage against the house. She never told any of this to my grandfather, which pretty much made him homeless when she passed away. He had no idea that he was poorer than dirt, except on the day she died. He has Alzheimer's now, remembers many things, but refuses to say her name. As for the preferred son, he has a poorly run business which has the IRS going after it currently. He always treated my dad like trash. My dad's preparing for retirement but still happily works every day at the age of 65. He still looks for approval from people, something his family never gave him. Deep scars. But he's got my annoying butt. What could be better? And our last story. EM thinks we're a daycare. Well, her child's now gone. I used to work in a small chain of bookstores/stationery shops. We'd sell books, pens, paper, and so on. It was a quirky little store, straight out of a romantic love novella, or a Stephen King book if you prefer. This happened a few years ago, and I reconstruct it from my memory. While trying to be as accurate as possible, I can't guarantee it. The cast of this play: EM, entitled mother; LG, little girl; me, just me; ND, nice dad of little girl. The story. Entitled mother walks into the store with little girl. It's rather early in the morning. EM looks around, asks if I could watch her child. Me. Oh no, I'm terrible with children, sorry. EM tells me that it's not for long and I shouldn't be such a fuss about it. I still politely refuse. It's not my job to watch children. I'm afraid to do something wrong. What happens? EM leaves the store. Who do I find hidden in the corner? LG, who seems to be rather shy/fearful. This happened back in a time before everyone had smartphones. The kid obviously didn't have a mobile on it, so I suspected the mother also wouldn't. Wasn't too surprised that LG didn't know the number of their landline. I sigh. What are you going to do? If something happens to that kid while being in the store and you being the only present employee, you're going to have a bad time. Me. Hey girl, what's your name? LG. Her name. Me. I'm my name and surname. LG, happy like only kids can be if they think they did something smart or they knew something. My surname is surname. Now this rang a bell. I had a good customer with the same surname. It turns out that it's her dad. I didn't get paid enough to babysit. In fact, I didn't even get paid enough to do my normal work. I call her dad at his workplace since we saved that number in our system. The call went along these lines. Me. Hi, nice dad, it's OP here from Bookstore XY. Oh, hi, OP, how's it going? I don't remember having any open orders. Yeah, look, listen, do you have a daughter? Yes, why do you ask? What's her name? I just wanted to ensure it's really her dad and not just a stupid coincidence. If I think about it now, LG told me it's her dad, so I don't know why I wasn't sure. ND apologizes for EM's behavior and tells me he's going to pick LG up as soon as possible. While waiting for ND, I picked up one of our sale books, box with damaged books that we try to sell with huge discounts before throwing away, a picture book from Disney. LG tries to read a little. I read a little. ND arrives, LG runs to him and hugs him, crying that mommy was mean to her. ND soothes her and thanks me for babysitting her. He gives me a bottle of wine and buys something small from the store. ND, if EM shows up again, could you not tell her that I picked up LG? What? Why? If you don't feel like it, you don't need to. It's rather complicated and you already did so much for us. ND leaves. In the evening, EM shows up, just to point out she dropped off LG about 9 o'clock. It's now 17:45. Where's my daughter? Me, already chugged about half the bottle of wine and thus a little boozed. Here, what? My daughter. I dropped her in the store and you were here. Me, way too drunk for work, but already decided to go for another job or homeless, both would have been better. Here, what? EM was on edge, thus I did what I thought was the smartest thing to do. A guy came into the store and picked her up. He seemed nice, gave me some wine for her. At this point, I expected her to explode/attack me, but she just left the store. A few weeks pass and ND and LG come into the store, both happy to see me. ND asked me if I got a few minutes, an excuse not to work? Obviously, I took the time for customer service. Gave LG the same book we've read the last time and had a talk with ND. EM and ND were in the middle of a divorce when EM dropped LG at our store. One of the reasons ND wanted a divorce was that EM wasn't nice to LG. Now, in my country as a male, it's rather hard to get custody of your child, no matter what. LG wanted to be with ND, but that doesn't matter. EM dropping LG in our store was a gift of the heavens. ND took LG to his sister overnight. EM pretended that LG was sleeping at one of her friends. ND wanted to call them just to ensure that LG is fine. EM didn't want that. LG friend didn't know where LG is. EM claimed she dropped LG at LG's friend. ND faked panic and involved the police. EM insisted that LG's friend kidnapped LG. Police asked ND and EM separately, and ND told the police what happened. EM still insisted on dropping LG at LG's friend. ND had proof of it being otherwise since he already called the police when he dropped LG at his sister's house. Now in court, ND apparently said something like, EM can have all she want, even my wine collection. I just want to be with my daughter. EM, knowing that ND didn't have any money left and had some quite expensive wines, agreed. Daughter ended up with ND, mother paying alimony. What EM didn't know, ND was replacing his wine collection before the divorce with the cheapest wines he could find at different discounters, gifting away the expensive ones. He knew that EM either is going to take everything from him or will break his wine collection. We both laugh. I gifted the book to LG, who seemed very happy. When EM dropped her, she was shy, seemed small, and now she had such a big smile on her face and was curious for everything. She could read much better than a few weeks ago. She seemed like a bird taking off to fly towards the sun. I absolutely hated my job, but situations like these make me a little bit nostalgic. Somehow I miss direct interactions with customers. On the other hand, I don't. I obviously don't. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.